Okay, great. We're back on day 3 of the Iowa State soccer tournament. We're here with the 1A recap. It took place this morning. We watched Grundy Center Gladbrook Rhinebeck take on Des Moines Christian, and Regina from Iowa City take on Western Christian Hull. I'm Ben Brackett, your Soccer Talk co-host, alongside my good buddy and pal, Blake Siebers. Siebes, what's up?
Good to be back at County for another day.
I love it. We've also got the Titan tactician, Matt Sahag, here. Matt, what's up?
What's up, guys?
Glad you're here. Okay, well, let's talk about the big 1 seed matchup. What was Des Moines Christian? They were a lower seed, weren't they?
Des Moines Christian? Yeah, they're the 4 seed.
Yeah, so you had the 1-4 matchup. I know I was sitting here and it started out, it sounded like it was one-way traffic, just listening. And then listening into it as the game went on, it totally changed, didn't it, Blake?
It did. I don't know how in-depth we want to get, but first 30 seconds, can I just call them GCGR?
You may.
Score, and really set the tone for the whole first half. They were, I think everybody would agree, clearly the better team, created a few chances, and that first goal really put their stamp on the game in the first half. Because then they went again to score a second goal to go up 2-0, and Des Moines Christian really did not threaten them hardly at all. There was one little scrum, the goalkeeper came out. They called a foul on Des Moines Christian, which I think some of the supporters, obviously not neutral, would have thought it was a goal, but 2-0 at the half, all over them, and I was honestly debating whether I should go back over because they had it in hand.
Matt, when did you show up? Probably sometime in the second half?
Yeah, I actually showed up after Des Moines Christian had got the equalizer, and I heard all about it. Maybe Blake's a little bit better to explain it, but I'll say this. When I showed up, what struck me was the atmosphere in the game. It was super cool. I mean, it's a hot day today. I'm sure the weatherman has posted. It's humid. Like, you sweat on the sidelines, and Des Moines Christian brought, like, it seemed like the whole school and the whole supporters bunch. And I'll say, I know some of these private schools sometimes get a bad rap for stuff like, recruiting and doing stuff like that. But, man, the private schools we've seen bring the fan bases, and Des Moines Christian on the boys and the girls side just bring everybody out, and it creates such an awesome atmosphere. So it would have been a really cool game as a player to play in just because of that.
Well, it sounds like it was a pretty cool game to watch as well. So you had the first goal get clawed back. How did that happen?
No, so Des Moines Christian, so about halfway through the second half, again, Grundy Center Gladbrook Rhinebeck started playing super defensive, and we love it, right? 2-0, the
most dangerous game.
Yeah, like what is it? And they completely changed their tactics, which was interesting because, again, I think if they would have kept going forward, it would have been a walk in the park. But they changed it up a little bit. Des Moines Christian, to their credit, started throwing people forward. They get the first goal to make it 2-1 with about 10 minutes to go, and really that's all we were looking for, is make it a little exciting. And, I mean, you want to talk about first time probably ever, that I would say. So Des Moines Christian, there's maybe 2 minutes to go. Obviously, what do? They start throwing. They got some big boys. They start throwing everybody forward. Goalkeeper goes in, wins a header off a corner kick. Goalkeeper saves it for GCGR. That was Max Anderson. And then 30 seconds later, goalkeeper kind of stays in the round, goes and strikes a ball, probably across from like 35 yards out. And the thing just kept going and going. It ends up in the top corner. So, yes, you heard that correct. The Des Moines Christian goalkeeper, Tate Platt, scored the equalizer with 2 minutes to go in regulation to push it to extra time. And you can imagine the pandemonium.
Well, I mean, it was so far the announcer actually announced to the whole complex that the goalkeeper had scored and that it was going to overtime. So people were definitely excited.
Yeah, awesome. Unbelievable. I mean, so I was there for some of the overtime, and it actually looked like, to me, after hearing that story, like that just, like after that happened, like both teams are almost playing for penalties. At least I guess there were still some chances in overtime, but as overtime wore on, it just looked like the game was headed to penalties. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more of that throughout the day in some of these other classes. I think as this tournament wears on, a lot of winning this event, I think, because of the heat, because of the amount of games and the amount of rest in between games, it's going to become a squad game, and it's going to be a manage your body within the game sort of test. And so I wouldn't doubt if we see more shootouts and more overtime games and stuff like that just because of that.
Yeah, so I mean, a couple players, Des Moines Christian. So we saw them play, and they scored a bunch of goals right in the first game against West Branch. But Joe Clement, number 5, sophomore midfielder, I saw him now play for 100 minutes today, and he was good. He was a good little central midfielder. The big man up top, Grant Dunn, who scored loads of goals in the spring, massive boy, was good. And then the other boy up top, Sam Overholt. Again, these guys are 6'2", 6'3", and just monsters. So
we're just feeling a little old, is what it sounds like.
they were good though. They made it exciting. And then the winners, GCGR, Tyler Nolder, number 5. I mean, the guy was literally everywhere, taking throws. He could throw the ball a mile off a throw-in that made everything dangerous. He was, you know how they say box to box? I would say more like end line to end line and sideline to sideline. Probably ran a little too much, which is why they were all knackered. But
a little too much.
he was good. The big man up top, Honey, they called him, Aiden Hundemiller, scored a bunch of goals in the season. Again, 6'2", 210 pounds, just an absolute monster. And then Aiden Betts.
Guessing on weights now?
I don't know.
I'd say it's more like 6'2", 185,
I was gonna say,
right? Like 6'2", 220. That's more like a linebacker.
That's like what I weigh.
He definitely did not look like you, man. I'll say that.
Let's give him a little more.
Yeah, so then it obviously goes to penalties, right? I mean, Aiden Betts was the other one. He was good, but goes to penalties, and GCGR comes out on top 4-2. Goalkeeper saved 2 from Des Moines Christian, and look at that. They're in the final.
Yeah,
Well,
I say Des Moines Christian penalties, the ones they missed, they're just look like a tired body going up to take a penalty, you know? Couldn't quite get a good strike on it, and goalkeeper really has a couple of easy saves.
Well, congrats to the Lions on a great season. And then also, of course, congratulations to GCGR as they head to the final. And they will take on Western Christian Hull after I got to watch that game. And it was a different game, it sounds like, than the one that you guys watched.
Why?
Thank you.
There's a tee up if I've ever heard one.
So, Iowa City Regina definitely carried the game for, I would say, the entire match up until the last 10 or so minutes. Regina moved the ball. They were looking to play a possession-style game, and they scored a great first goal. It was Jack Hoover from distance, pinged one in off the post, and they just really seemed in control the entire game until we get to the end. So Western Christian Hull, on the other hand, sort of played a contrasting style, a little more direct, a little more helter-skelter. We've got some good athletes, and they put the ball in dangerous places and get after it. It seemed like they were just trying to soak up the pressure from Regina and then hit them on the counter. So I honestly, and I was talking to our cameraman, right, we didn't think there was another goal in it, did we? And so we were happy when we got a little action here at the end, but it was a little controversial, and I don't know, I might be the only one that knows how controversial it is because of where I was sitting, but prior to the corner kick, there was a long throw from the Wolfpack into the box, and the little guy Miles up top went to go flick it on, but it was just sort of awkward, and it went off the kind of like the top of his head and went straight out of bounds, and the ref called the corner kick, which I don't think is actually what probably should have happened.
Question, Ben, was it, whose side was it on? Was it on the Lino side, or was it on
it was on the Lino side. So he had to have had as good of a view of it as me, and it was one of those where, like, your brain says obviously it's out for a corner, but I was just sitting right there, and it's very possible that I missed it, just as possible as that he missed it. But what it did was it gave the chance to the Wolfpack, and they were able to score off of a great service from Miles and a great finish. Who was it that scored the goal? It was Aiden, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce
Wasn't
his
that
last
Honey?
name. No,
that Honey
that
guy?
Honey was in the other game.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're okay. But
Guy in the middle,
great.
right here, number 5.
Yeah.
Captain.
It was a great goal, and he was fired up. He said it was his first career goal. And
Is that what he said? He said my first goal, so I didn't.
maybe it was not his
think-
first career goal, but it was his first goal. So I'm
on
assuming
the season or in the tournament. I was like, wow, like he looks like maybe a guy who scores goals on his team. But
Well, we don't have just all their stats like the girls program shows everybody's stats, but he
All
did
right.
mention that it was his first goal, so he
Opportunity
was
for
jacked
improvement,
up.
boys.
They were really fired up, and But then, similar to the overtime that you guys saw, the game was like it was going to penalties the whole time, right? And then we got into penalties, and I mean, ultimately, we got to like the 9th or 10th shooter. We saw a couple misses here and there. The goalkeepers, both goalkeepers, getting hands-on shots
I saw those
regularly, but not able to keep them out of the goal. And then finally, the goalkeeper for Western Christian Hull, J.D. Pettit, was able to snag a save to secure the win. And as we were sitting here earlier, Blake, right before as we were getting ready, we watched the warm-up, and Iowa City Regina was actually practicing penalties before the game. So I was surprised that they didn't come out victorious, but I will say their first 5 shooters were like on the money. So
I'd be interested. I'm not a goalkeeper, so I don't know all the techniques, but I'd be interested to hear from a goalkeeper coach or someone who's played goalkeeper before, what the deal was with all those balls that basically went through the goalkeeper's hands. Because I think there was 4 or 5 penalties at least where literally the ball hit the goalkeeper's hands, and then it was almost like their hands were like this because they
not a strong palm.
So I'm just wondering, technique-wise, is there a technique that fixes that? Like, are you catching it too far back? Is it forward? To me, that's a technical issue with the goalkeepers.
Yeah, and I'm only laughing because I heard the coach literally chirped him and said, "Hey, have you been doing your wrist rolls?"
Really? Well, I would say to those goalkeepers, go watch that film and dissect your technique and figure out if you can fix that, because either one of those goalkeepers could have been the hero of the game.
Absolutely.
If they would have actually saved those balls. And it's like, to me, I think it was just like they're in the right place, so they've done the hard thing. They've got their hands on it, so they've done the second hardest thing. Now they just got to keep it out of the net. So I'm just...
Here's your YouTube plug. You want to see what Matt's hands are all moving all over the place, so check it out.
I love it.
I've heard you got to go catch it here, right?
Yeah. So then we've got, I just want to give a shout out to the Regina center midfield trio. You had Jack Hoover, it was Quinn Warren, and then I think Eddie Peterson, and they were knocking the ball around, and it looked really, really nice. So some good players in there, and I'm sure they'll be disappointed, but I think we've also, it looks like all juniors in that group, so that's going to be a tough team next year, assuming they get back to state. But I guess what we've got is a pretty exciting final. We got Western Christian Hull back to the final for the third time in a row, but this time they look to actually win it after losing twice. And then GCGR, have they ever been to the final? They've never been to the final. And they haven't been to the state tournament since 2016, so I'm sure they're going to be pretty fired up. And they seemed like they were all together. What else we got, boys?
Not much. Just getting into the 2A action, it looks like over there.
Already got a goal.
Already kicked off.
Yeah.
All right, well, we better get to it. See you for 2A. All right. Soccer talk here at the conclusion of the 2A semifinal round on the boys' side. It was a pretty hectic little, I don't know, what was it, about 4 hours there.
Probably the longest. Remember last year was the coldest state tournament in history?
It's going to be the longest.
This was the longest Class 2A semifinal in history.
Well, that's Blake Siebers over there, my co-host. I'm Ben Brackett. We've got Dan Rothert from Top Student Athlete Recruiting. I didn't even have to look at his sweatshirt. And Matthew Saheg, the Titan Tactician, here to break down all the action. We had Davenport Assumption, the 1 seed, taking on Nevada, that's right. I'm sorry. And on the other field, we had Gilbert against Sioux City Bishop. Sioux City Bishop Heelan, I'm sorry.
They might be like Dowling, where you can't call them Sioux City Bishop. You have to call them Dowling Catholic.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
We'll just call them Bishop Heelan. So we got a whole first half in, and then the storms came. We had to shut her down. There was probably, at least an hour and a half or so between games, and then we started the second half here, and it was really, I think, in both games, the tale of two halves. Let's start on the Assumption game. Dan, as an Assumption legend, we had you go over and check that one out. Since you have a little bit of a vested interest, and things ended up going your way, talk to us a little bit about the game.
Yeah, it was a tale of two halves. Nevada came out pretty strong. Early on, they got a counterattack goal, went up 1-0. Were able to hold it down quite a bit. Then they got a free kick with about 20 seconds left in the first half, and the kid just buried it. number 9, Cole Beving. He's a center back, just ripped it. So they go into halftime 2-0 up, and we're sitting there at halftime. I interviewed the Nevada coaches, and they announced they're going to have the rain delay or the lightning delay. So things are, don't know what's going to happen. Nevada's got all the momentum in the world coming off that goal, and that I really do think that changed things. You come out after a 10-minute break and you don't have momentum, and now you get almost 2 hours break. That changed a lot of things. So Assumption came out firing, and they were just coming at him most of the game. The only things that Nevada were getting were a few free kicks here and there. And then Sam Burkhart, he was the all-tournament team captain last year, hit a rope.
This is after the rain break.
Yeah, after the rain break. So we're in the second half. Yeah, sorry. He hit a rope to put it 2-1. And, then the momentum swung even harder. And Roberto Madrano, number 10, got 2 goals to put them at 3-2, and they were up. But wasn't without a little controversy at the end. So,
Before we talk about that,
yeah.
Just a quick shout out for our press conferences, because Madrano basically said that Sam Burkhart gave him the confidence to score those 2 goals, and that was a pretty cool little story. And what were those 2 goals? Like, it was just like, were they individual efforts, team goals?
No, team goals. I mean, he picked up some scraps on one of them and put it away, and the other one he beat the guy, got the kid to slide, faked it, pulled it back, and put it away. So
nice.
Yeah, they were both nice goals, and he worked for him. He was buzzing around. They have 3 or 4 guys that just buzz, and they were causing problems, pressing and making it difficult. I think that the rain helped them. It was slippery. It was faster than it had been, and Assumption's a pretty fast team, and I think that ultimately got them a lot more chances.
Ben, you had mentioned like a press conference. Where can our listeners find more information about that?
Check it out on Instagram at KIF Soccer, but also on YouTube at our YouTube channel. We're also on Twitter at KIF_soccer. Thanks for that prompt there, Blake. So at what point was it 3-2?
3-2, yeah.
Yeah, at what point? Like, how much was left?
10 minutes left. Yeah.
And so at that point, they're just trying to kill the game off. And now let's talk about the controversy. What was the big
free
problem?
kicks for Nevada, and then there's a little, it's wet. Guys are going a little bit late, things like that. So Assumption gets a free kick. About a minute and a half left. Burkhart's going to take it. He's a lefty. Takes about 6 or 7 seconds. Doesn't take terribly long to take. He's getting his guys forward. Wants to probably play it in the corner. And yellow card's drawn, and turns out, I didn't know this, is a second. So now Burkhart's out for the championship. So, I didn't see the first one. I heard it was for potentially chirping a little bit, but I don't know. I'll probably get banned from refereeing for talking about it, but that's how it goes. But,
I'll say something then.
A bit questionable.
Yeah, again, we talked about this yesterday in the Norwalk game, right? That sometimes we got to understand and realize these are kids in big time atmospheres, a little nervous, and or just say stop the clock.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Can't you just say, hey, stop it?
Yep.
And I know you can't quote add time, but you just stop the clock. Let them take your free kick, and as soon as they take it, then you just let the clock roll.
Do you know who that he has the second? Let's make sure we know that that's a kid sitting on a yellow. Like, you should know that in the back of your mind. But I think you mentioned it when we were talking. Like, maybe that long delay makes you forget about that a little bit, and you're in the moment of the game. But and now they're all tournament team captains out for the final. So that's tough, but I think they're ready to roll. They're still celebrating after, and they got the momentum. And Sam's was over there leading them still. So, I think it's gonna be a fun game.
Sounds like it. Nothing like a little controversy. We weren't without controversy in the other game as well. We'll get to that. Who else? Matthew, you came and watched that with me. The other game was Gilbert against Bishop Heelan out of Sioux City. It was 1-0 in the first half. I think it was a corner kick to Owen Worth. Good little goal. And, man, just in general, Gilbert they were just a huge squad. The boys were big.
Yeah, they were. They're a big, strong physical team. They play pretty direct. I mean, for me, though, the best thing that happened to this tournament today was that weather break. I just watching those 1A games towards the end of them, the games just got slow and sort of lethargic because, it was it probably felt like it was 100 degrees out here. The humidity was hot. I mean, as a fan, you're sitting there just sweating, even just standing and watching. So
the grass is thick, so the ball slows down a bit.
Yeah, exactly. So after the break, though, I mean, the games, I mean, because we got to see some of the 2A stuff, obviously, before the weather break. It was still hot. The weather rolls in, and all of a sudden we come back, and the games just have all this zip for me. The ball's traveling and kind of sliding across the field. And that naturally actually is creating chances and opportunities in front of the goal because the ball's skipping a little bit. And then, of course, this is the best weather you can play in as a player because it's overcast, it's a little bit wet, and so you can run forever in this stuff if you're a high schooler. So for me, I loved it. I'm looking forward to these 4A games, but I thought the weather really brought a necessary and great change to the game.
Yeah, and for Bishop Heelan, they were flying around, getting stuck into their tackles. And they were able to move the ball in a different way, and they were really connecting passes and playing their style soccer. And they ended up scoring the equalizer with, let's call it, about 10 minutes left. And it was a slick team goal, probably a 6 or 7 pass movement. The 27 for Gilbert was the one who started it. I will tell you his name, but he started it and finished it. It was really nice.
Are you talking the Gilbert goal?
Sorry. Yep, Bishop Heelan. Thank you. I'm looking at all these names, and I just get so confused. So, yeah, it was number 27, Jesse Castillo, on an assist from Alejandro Suarez. And, again, just a really slick little goal. And they're all fired up. It seems like they're kind of in control and, like, we're destined for penalties, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it looked like that. Of course, that's not how it turned out because we had a unbelievable finish.
We sure did. We were sitting there. There must have been, 15 to 20 seconds left. Ball goes out for a corner. They rush over to take it. Gets floated in the box. I don't know who it was that headed down, but somebody clears it off the line for Bishop Heelan. And then just in the scramble, it somehow ends up in the back of the net.
Yeah, I think it got cleared off the line, and then I believe it then hit back off the goalkeeper, who then pushed it back towards the line. And then it gets cleared. Well, it gets cleared off the line again. So for that brief moment, you think that they've survived it and the game's going to go into overtime. But all of a sudden, the referee raises his hand, blows his whistle, and I remember I looked over at the linesman. The linesman had his flag up. He ran towards the center line, signaling it was a goal. And sure enough, the referees had said that the ball crossed the line, even though it had gotten cleared back into the field. And the Gilbert players wheeled away towards the stands, winning the game in the last with 4.6 seconds left on the clock. I mean, unbelievable finish.
It really was. I had a pretty good view of it. It looked into me. Matt, what'd you think?
I mean, here's the thing. Like, what I liked about it, first of all, I think in that situation, if it's in and you're going to call that goal in, if you're the referee or the linesman, you have to be 100% sure. I think because we don't have goal line technology or VAR in a game like this, you err on the side of a caution. So if there's any shred of doubt that ball's in, you have to play on, right? So I hope that the referees were absolutely certain in their call. But if you look at how they called it, I looked over, the linesman almost immediately raised his flag, and he was in exact position to see it. He was literally standing on the corner flag. And then I looked at the referee. The referee was on the edge of the 18-yard box or inside of it, looking straight down at the goal as well. So I think the referees did their job. They were perfectly in perfectly good position, and they signaled for goal pretty quickly as well. And so I thought they sold it regardless, and it gave them a lot of credibility. So right or wrong, I think the referees did a great job in that moment. And I think we got some good footage of it. Not to put a spoiler out there, but I hope everybody looks at our Insta stuff because there will be some controversy, I think, and some interpretation. I hope people weigh in on the debate, in or out.
That's true. I think we'll be able to tell for sure, though, at a certain point.
So somebody got a video of it, didn't they?
They did.
Luckily, Ben, because you had to chirp our cameraman to make sure he was doing his job.
Luckily, the cameraman didn't listen to Ben, actually, because I think Ben was instructing the cameraman to go all the way on the other end of the field before the last second of the game.
I got a little excited, all right? It happens. Oh, gosh. All right, so we've got Davenport Assumption in the final. The defending state 1A champs, now bumped up to 2A. Taking on Gilbert, and I don't believe that Gilbert has been to the state final before, but I'm going to check. They have not won a state championship, so first opportunity for them. Big matchup. And it's going to be a little bit of a contrast in styles. Big squad there at Gilbert, and then maybe a little bit more of a technical squad out there from Assumption. So we'll see. Anybody got anything for me? Brody's raising his hand, but we don't care what he thinks. We'll see everybody for some 3A and 4A action here before you know it. All right, the action does not seem to stop here. We just finished the 3A boys at the state tournament semifinal matchup. We had Iowa City Liberty taking on Marion, little east side of the state matchup, and then a metro matchup here with Norwalk taking on Des Moines Hoover. If you can't tell, it's getting foggy. My glasses are fogging up. It's that foggy. I'm Ben Brackett, alongside my good buddy Blake Sievers, co-host of Soccer Talk. What's up, Siebes?
Well, if that's not a plug for our YouTube press conference channel, I don't know what is. Well done. And I love it. What a night. Should we get right to it?
Yeah, we've got Anna Turry from Wisconsin, Stevens Point, also a Marion soccer legend in her own right. She was checking out the Marion Iowa City Liberty game. And then, speaking of legends, we got old Case and Crawl over there from Norwalk. Also a Drake, little legend himself, and just rocking it here in Des Moines with his KC Fitness and Performance, or Performance and Fitness.
Yep. Performance fan.
All right. We've lost Blake. Okay, so let's start ladies first. Anna, how was Iowa City Liberty against Marion? I know it didn't go quite the way you wanted.
I mean, it started out strong. They both had kind of equal possession, and it really could go either way. Grayson Kirsch, their center back, was out on their final sub-state match, and they haven't really recovered since. Jackson Kirsch was playing at more of a CDM as their lead goal scorer, so he didn't really have a chance to attack at all, so they kind of struggled to finish.
Jackson scored like 70 goals or almost 70 goals on the season, and so he had to drop in, huh? So that's really going to blunt the attack a bit.
Yeah, it really took them back. I believe they put him back up to the 9 maybe with 20 minutes left, but at that point they were already down 2-0, and it was a little too late.
What'd you think about Iowa City Liberty? How were they in the first half?
They came out with a fire in them. They were strong, and they had excellent finishes. The first goal, a strong dribble up the right side, kind of finished on his own, but really good. And then second goal, a placement right into the middle, straight into the net. It was really good, and they held their own in the second half and kept their lead.
Any players to watch from Iowa City Liberty that you liked?
I had our two captains, number 14, I believe, and number 17 were both, I actually think all three of our captains, 14, 17, and 10, were all three very strong players, really helpful both defensively and in the attack. Number 14 was our center back, who actually got up into the penalty area quite a bit, so really good in the attack.
So
it's interesting. Sorry, Ben, real quick. I say Hayden Saul again, like we talked about him in the first game. Sorry.
No.
That's it. He was obviously good again, second game in a row. Go ahead, though. That's it.
I was
it.
going to see if we got any goalkeeping critique from you, Anna. What'd you think about the goalkeepers?
I mean, I think they did well. Marion's goalkeeper, Kaylin Claypool, hasn't had much of a challenge this season, but
Zero goals against
really
on the season. Zero?
Zero.
First
Zero.
goal they gave was Tuesday.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness.
And he made that first PK save, too, which, I mean, I got to give it to him. He's had a great season.
Well, that's awesome.
What about any referee critiques?
Yeah, you've also got that in your bag.
I don't think I'm warranted to say on here. I wasn't watching the refs this time, so.
Oh, smart play.
I love it.
All right, Anna, thanks. What do you think, Case and Crawl, your Norwalk Warriors underdogs a bit, right?
Yeah.
Hoover was really good earlier in the year, and oh, nice, good save. And they were electric in the quarterfinal. They won 6-0. So I think Norwalk had to, and Norwalk was missing one of their best players.
Yep.
Talk to me about it.
No, it was very aggressive and fast-paced and athletic. It felt like the first 20 minutes, and I was waiting for it to slow down, and it just never did. 80 minutes straight of just full tackles, didn't stop. Obviously a crowd-pleasing game one way or the other, and it was a wild finish. I think goal scored with 7-8 minutes left. So
I know you could talk about Norwalk all day long, but indulge me and talk a little bit about Hoover. Who are the guys to watch there? Did you like anybody?
Yeah, number 10.
Masengo, Ben Masengo.
Yeah, very good player. Good on the ball, athletic. Heard about him before the game started. But just top to bottom with that team, all full credit to Hoover and everything that they've done. super explosive the whole time. A lot of passion and very good program.
So I don't think I actually got to see Hoover on the year. I've seen Norwalk now. Norwalk was a good little team, but talk about the different styles of play, because I'm guessing that was a major contrast.
Yeah, I thought the biggest difference was it felt like Norwalk tried to play more. Hoover was very aggressive on the attack, but it turned into just a lot of 1v1 trying to save the day, and I think that's what kind of bit him at the end. Norwalk just defended really well. 0 errors in the match in the back. And after the last round, I mentioned it was going to have to be no mistakes in the back, and they did that today. So
Who are your Warriors to watch?
for sure, Jack Brown. You can't go anywhere else without that comment right now. Goal scorer with 8 minutes left, 24 goals on the season. And then I would go Noah Burrow today. Covered so much ground. That's kind of an underlying thing in the game of soccer. And he covered ground left and right, up and back. And then Caden Andres, I would say for sure. Center back, 6'4", 6'5", calm on the ball.
That's a big boy.
Really good performance out of all three. And I could go down the line, but I'll leave it at those three.
All right, very good. Okay, so then let's get some predictions out of you two. You haven't seen Norwalk play. You haven't seen Iowa City Liberty play. Tell me what you think, Anna.
I don't know. I mean, I gotta go with Iowa City Liberty. I'm just gonna stick to my roots. I've seen them play before. I actually was on the line for one of those matches, and overall, they're just a great team and just great people in general.
Oh, I love that. Okay, and I know exactly what Kaysen's going to say. Kaysen, what's your prediction?
We're going to go the other way. Of course, haven't seen them play, so I'm just excited for a great game. So we'll see what happens.
Very good. Thank you guys for joining us, Kaysen. I'm sure we'll see you on Saturday. Anna, we'll see you tomorrow. Are you on the center for which game?
Not the center,
The
but
center? Line in?
I got 2 lines, semifinal 1A and semifinal 3A, and then I right now have the 2A line for finals.
Nice.
Girls.
I love that. Okay. Keep an eye out for Anna Turi, stud referee in the making, and also a good little player. Kaysen, thanks again.
Yep.
Anna, thanks again. Siebes, welcome back. Any
Sorry.
parting shots?
No, I mean,
worries. It's all
check
right.
it out. I mean, we got people gathering. We're going to
busy
be
night.
quick. Let's
Here we
do
go.
it.
All right. 4A coming up. All right. 4A action is finally concluded here. It's dark and hazy, foggy, humid as all get out. I'm Ben Brackett, your Soccer Talk co-host, hanging out here with my co-host Blake Sievers. Siebes.
Sounds like Aaron Sheffield's hanging out too at the moment.
It does sound like that. And then we've also got Matt Sahag, the Titan tactician, the admiral of analysis here to break things down for us. So this evening was 4A. We had.
Can we get like a little weather delay, right? They'll like talk about that a little bit because
true.
it was 3A and 4A games happening at the same time. A lot of complaints actually. Like I thought it was cool, but a lot of complaints that it wasn't streaming online.
That's true.
Which I don't know what this association does. No choice, but like get your rear ends down to Des Moines, guys. Like or county, I mean. Like they're all local people complaining. Like come on down, and it was awesome. Like I thought it was cool.
You're totally right about that. And it's if you don't know the way that the county lays out, you basically have the 2 stadium fields, 6 and 9, that are opposite each other. So you can't catch both games, really see anything if you pick one or the other. But then if you sit in the middle, did I say 6 and 8?
No, you said it right.
Oh
6
yeah.
and 9, yeah.
And then you've got the 2 side by side fields, 7 and 8. So a lot of times we'll just sort of like camp out and watch sort of 6, 7, and 8 and skip the 9. But today it was hard to do that, right? So I don't know, it was just mayhem. We had people helping us out all over the place, so it was really great. So maybe quick shout out to all those people, right? We had Ozzy White, we had Matt LeMayle, we had Anna Turi, Kaysen Crawl,
Dan Rother,
Uncle T.
Yeah, we've got
Evan Killstrom.
Yeah, and then the old Brody
Dan Menon, Brody
Sievers himself.
Sievers.
So we've had a lot of help, and tonight was a little bit of a culmination of all of it. But anyway, okay, let's talk about the game. So Centennial and Johnston with the big Metro matchup, and then the other side of the bracket was Iowa City West against Dowling Catholic. Dowling Catholic coming off a big high last night with a late win, and I thought they were going to be a little better than they were. Let's talk about that game first, so we can save the drags for you here, the Jags and drags for you here in a second. Iowa City West was really good tonight, and I thought that maybe Dowling ran out of gas from last night, right?
Yeah, it's kind of tough to if you're Dowling to play in that game. First of all, they went up against an even better team than they faced last night in Iowa City
Absolutely.
West. But I mean, just how emotional that game was last night and coming off the big win, it's really hard, I think, to come back the next night and double that performance. So they did look a little flat. Iowa City West, I mean, shut Mendez down. He wasn't as effective. Obviously, he was in the last 20 minutes of the game last night. But gosh, tell you what, Iowa City West has got a really, really special player in Michael Nelson. That kid is good. And last night, I said, Jonathan kind of ran away with the player of the tournament. I mean, I think tonight showed that Michael Nelson is probably the player to me that I've seen that's the best player in the tournament. 2 goals tonight.
And created the first one off of his rebound, Fuentes with a banger.
Yeah, and I mean, like, literally anytime the ball gets near him, he looked threatening. Anytime. And he's playing with a knee brace on, too. I mean, he's coming back from that injury, but, I mean, I'd love to see him without that knee brace and
Go like
fully
Forrest Gump
recovered.
on us maybe for the final and just break off the brace.
I mean, his first goal, which was the second goal, the ball comes in, and I think it's Foth, maybe he was a center back for
Yes.
Dowling, who actually had a very, very good first half. He's the only reason, really, for me that the Dowling was actually able to stay in it because he did a great job on Nelson, but on Nelson's first goal, he just got caught a little bit too tight to him, and Nelson just rolled him. And then he was in behind and he slotted it home. Nice little finish into the bottom right corner. I mean, Michael Nelson for me is a player that makes a difference in that game. But Iowa City is good all around the field. So I know that we'll talk about the Dragons here in a little bit, but if you come back to me, I'll maybe give you a prediction for next game and maybe give the Drags some locker room material for their poster board.
I say there's the plug for the presser because Johnson Dragons went absolutely after face to face to Matt Sayeg, so it was great. I loved it.
All right, we'll get there in a
They
sec.
got an apology out of me, but I'm rethinking that apology because I don't think they've played in the championship yet. So
Fair enough. Iowa City West, though, I mean, they were. You talk about maybe the output from last night being a little too much for Dowling to replicate it tonight, but Iowa City West with a big game last night, but then got on the bus, went home, came back, and they had to do that the day before for the weather delay. They had finals. They're clearly a team on a mission, and Brad Stiles, like, he's got the formula, doesn't he?
Yeah, and give it up to their their defensive unit and their goalkeeper Gilliam, because like if you would have told me they would have shut out Dowling, I wouldn't have agreed. And you look back at the last 4 games Dowling's played, I mean, they scored 9 goals, 8 goals, 5 goals, and then they scored 2 Tuesday night against Ames, Tuesday night. So like
It's all running together.
Yeah, I just would have that's an impressive performance. And Iowa City West shut out Kennedy the first round, now shut out Dowling, and I mean, that gets overlooked a little bit, I think, because they're so good going forward and so dynamic. But well done to those boys in the back.
yeah, they've got a left winger that plays some really nice passes in. I mean, they're good all around the field too, but he just stood out for me. A couple of balls he played into Nelson, it kind of just curled him right in there. I mean, good little player on the
Do you know
left.
who it was?
I think he's number 16.
Yeah, was it 16 or 17?
Fuentes was 17, but
Well, fair enough.
who knows?
Left
Anyways.
winger.
It was so
Get to know him a little
foggy out
better
you
tomorrow.
couldn't see.
Yeah, that's true.
And yeah, you'll have to check out the Instagram for some pics because there were points in the game, at least in that Dowling game, where if you were on one end of the field, you could not see the goal on the other end. So pretty interesting stuff. I think Iowa City West is going to be a tough one to handle in the final. Let's talk about your Drags, though, Siebes. The Drags and the Jags looked like it was going to – I mean, it was a battle, wasn't it? And it did not look like it was going to end the way it did to me.
No, so again, we love controversy here, right, on the pod. So sorry for Zell and Stork, but we were sitting right there in front of Centennial's first goal, and
it was not a foul. They were very upset that it was a foul, but it was not. And it seemed like their goalkeeper was kind of 6 and 7.
Comes out, no communication between the backs and the goalkeeper, and
Heckenleibel kind of nips in, rounds the goalkeeper, easy finish when it's all said and done. But, I mean, let's talk about Heckenleibel a little bit. I mean, I think overall that's an easy finish. I would expect nothing less. But I thought he was a little quiet overall. And then in the second half, I think that's the defining moment of that game when the ball drops at his feet, doesn't finish it, and then immediately thereafter they go down the other side, and it's 1-1 The Drags are back in it, right, Siebes?
Yeah, I think similar, though. Like, a little bit about Iowa West. I give credit to Strickler and, man, Steven, I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce it. Hero? Got
Those are all
hopefully
good.
the last
Hero.
name's
Go Hero.
Hopefully it's his
Steven
last.
Hero.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
go
that's
Steven
right.
Hero.
It's a
Like
good
a
sandwich
hero.
as well. Like, they did well in the back.
Yeah, I think they were probably really disappointed with that first goal because it was a defensive mistake, right? And so I would guess at halftime it was the message was tighten it up. Let's not let that happen again.
So let's talk about halftime real quick because we talked to Frizzell first, and we took like 2 minutes to talk to him. And then we talked to, I don't know, where we end up at? Style?
We talked to Jackson. Then we
kind of went all over. So at the end of the day, where I'm trying to go with is the Johnston halftime talk was probably 4 minutes total because they were out ready to go with 3 minutes left. And we went over to talk to Duax, think we're going to have a good little chat.
Probably 2.5 minutes left on the clock at that point, and we didn't even get finished.
No, they just stopped the clock because everybody was ready to go.
A little gamesmanship from the Drags, and I wonder how much that has to do with the 1 or 2 minutes later they score the goal. And I guess I mixed that up before when I said that the turning point in the game was there. But 1-1 was right after halftime, and they scored.
Yeah, Orich scores a goal, got it, 25 yards out, hit a low laser beam to the lower left corner, go 2-1 or a 1-1, tied the game,
and then that defining moment was after that when Heckenleibel missed the chance, and then Johnson comes back immediately down the field right after that, right, and scores.
Yeah, and we talked about with Frizzell last year. Remember, he makes I don't know how often they do it, but they made all these substitutions. So Matt, here's a little insight for you. So Pope was off the field. He talked about it at halftime, they were able to get fresh bodies on and kind of do a little squad rotation. And Johnson actually scored the second off. Strickler is taking credit for the goal, and I don't know. They played a long ball in. Goalkeeper comes out, kind of a complete mess. Don't know. Somebody touches it, I hope.
Check our Instagram story.
Yeah, it's a good little video. But all those boys, Pope and there's 3 others that were off. They score the winner, and then
they turn the heat up.
Yeah, and then Pope and all those boys come back on.
I saw the third
So it's
goal.
interesting.
Yeah, I saw the third goal too, and for me that's Pope's the guy that always looks threatening for Johnston, and if he gets in behind players, obviously it's a real problem because nobody's going to catch him, and that's what happened on the third goal for me. Centennial. They gifted him the ball really. They gave it away, but once he touched that ball in behind that defender, he was gone.
What a good atmosphere environment, though. County was rocking tonight. We talked about it a little bit the other night, right, with Duax and Frizzell. Those boys aren't getting out of tackles; they're getting stuck in. The fans were going crazy. It was sweet.
Yeah,
it
awesome.
really was. It'll be a fun final day.
What's your prediction then, Matt? You kind of
So,
well, that's where I was going to go.
Yeah,
Sorry, fun final day on Saturday. Let's get some predictions quick.
Yeah. All right. So let me give you. Sorry, Ben. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, please.
So here's my kind of outlook for the Dragons Iowa City West game. So I think, for me, the Dragons are gonna have to find a solution for Michael Nelson, right? So I'm gonna be really interested in that. I think basically Nelson's gonna match up against Strickler at the back. And so Strickler's going to have his hands full. I think the key to the game is figuring out a way to give Strickler some help, not because it's just that Nelson's so threatening. So I think the key to the game is denying the supplying to Nelson. Yeah, I think you do that through your midfielders, your central midfielders, and then keeping your left and your right back pretty close to Strickler, at least somebody. I think that's where Dowling went wrong tonight. I think Foth was too often 1-versus-1 with him. So here's my prediction. I think Iowa City West is going to beat the Dragons. So there's a little poster board material for you guys if you're listening. I hope you prove me wrong, but I think Nelson carries the day. He probably gets the game winner tomorrow night against Johnson.
On Saturday. Yeah. Interesting. Blake?
Roll Drags. Absolutely, right? They're not going to get shut. They've been shut out one time this year against East, kind of just a little weird random game towards the end of the season, but there could be some fireworks in the 4A final. Again, we talked a little bit about it. Dowling, Iowa City West. It could have been 6-4. Johnson could have been a lot of goals. I think there's going to be some goals, and Frizzell's going to come out on top, shut up all the naysayers, including the one in the middle of this table, and that press conference is going to be absolutely can't miss TV.
Well, let me just say, I love the cockiness that Johnston has. I love that part of the game and the banter. I think it's great. So I think that's part of it. That's why they're in the final, right? They're confident. And you have to be somewhat cocky, right? So when you get to the final and somebody says that you shouldn't be there, you should be telling them they're wrong. So I appreciate that. But I'm still going to stick with my prediction.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because we're talking about Michael Nelson, and a lot of times when you're talking about, the player of a tournament, a lot of times it's a big athlete, covers a lot of ground, he's just a big full handful, and instead he's little, crafty, and you mentioned he rolled the guy on that first goal he scored. I just think he's going to be a real trick for the Johnson back four to deal with somebody as clever as he is, because he can just disappear for, I don't know, whatever happened, 75 minutes and just pop up for 5 and that could be it. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to go with, just because you called me a naysayer, let's go Trojans. I'd like to see my fellow Tiger Brad Stiles get back to the winner's circle. So let's just see if we get the fodder going for the
There's
Dragons.
always a Tiger connection that brings you back
Everywhere.
home.
What is Styles' out? I don't even know what's the traditional finals outfit for him, because he got soaked in a suit on Tuesday night and didn't play. He comes back Wednesday in a shirt and tie.
It's hot.
Yeah, miserably hot. He shows up today in shorts,
polo,
yeah,
visor.
I'm curious.
Yeah, we'll see. That'll be something to check back on our social media. You can see what Brad's wearing. Okay, so we're going to be in for a big 4A final. I'm excited for it, especially just love doing anything I can to rile up my buddy Jimmy Frizzell. But good luck to both teams. We'll be back tomorrow for the girls 1A, 2A, 3A semifinals, and then, of course, Saturday for the big day. All day long with the finals. So,
Closing county down 2 nights in a row. The last one's here.
I love it. The dedication of your Kick It Forward staff here. All right. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon.